So, a wonderful morning to everyone gathered here, to all my faculty colleagues, students, and our special esteemed guest. We are gathered here for an important seminar titled Nutraceuticals Food for Medicine. The speaker of the day is Dr. Sonali Mohan, founder, Catalyst Innovation Club, Executive Director, OME Healthcare, and also the director, Nurturing Life Foundation. Welcome, ma'am. Welcome to Amity Institute of Biotechnology.
Thank you, Dr.
Uh,
Sanjeev.
for today's event, we are also joined by our esteemed panelists. We have Professor A.N. Sahi, Assistant Director, Head Center for Plant and Environmental Biotechnology, Amity Institute of Biotechnology. Dr. Subhasha Nigam, Associate Professor, Amity Institute of Biotechnology. Dr. Rajiv Kumar, Assistant Professor, Amity Institute of Biotechnology, and our, uh, very senior Dr. Mrs. Nilima Rao, Assistant Professor, Amity Institute of Biotechnology, who has been very kind enough to coordinate with Dr. Sonali and, get her consent and, bring her to this platform for our benefit and our students' benefit today. So without any further ado, I now request Dr. Subhasha Nigam to go ahead and introduce our esteemed guest and then initiate the program. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Sanjeev sir. A very good morning to you all. It gives me immense pleasure to welcome and introduce today's guest speaker, Dr. Sonali Mohan, for sharing her interventions on nutraceutical food for medicine. Dr. Sonali is the founder of Catalyst Innovation Club, an organization engaged in mentoring and promoting innovations in students. She has served various organizations as leader position. She is also one of the founder faculty members of MIT Institute of Biotechnology. Currently, she is serving as director, Nurturing Life Foundation, which is a Section 8 company engaged in empowering humanity to become the best version of themselves. She was awarded PhD in biotechnology from Department of Biotechnology, Jamia Hamdard University, New Delhi in 2002. She has more than 17 research papers published in international journals of repute, 3 book chapters, and 1 patent to her credit. Her area of research is preventive healthcare. Dr. Sonali is recipient of Young Scientist Award from DST and Best Scientist and Research Award conferred in Colorful India 2019. So without further delay, let's hear Dr. Sonali. Get your pen and paper ready. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Dr. Sanjeev, Dr. Subhasha, for that very generous introduction. And yes, as rightly mentioned by Dr. Subhasha, IIB has been my first, step that I took after my academics. After doing my PhD, it was my first institute that I joined in my professional journey. So it's kind of nostalgic right now, coming back to the same place. And it's a pleasure to address all of you today. I am really happy. And I thank Dr. Nilima Rao for this opportunity. So now we begin. My talk title today is Nutraceuticals, Food for Medicine. Now this is an important topic from the point of view of the time that we are in today, and also is very close to my heart, and I've done some work in this area. So it kind of becomes my expertise as well. The term nutraceuticals, as we know, is not new. It was coined by Dr. Stephen in 1989. So you can imagine the term is not very old, but the use for food as medicine is as old as Hippocrates when he said, "Let food be thy medicine and medicine be thy food." Nutraceuticals have traveled a long way from 400 BC when Hippocrates was ascribed to this quotation. It is very well accepted, and this term nutraceuticals. So before beginning the topic of presentation today, I would like to define what nutraceuticals actually mean. So literally, nutraceuticals basically are functional foods with benefit. So in a way, all the food which is giving us health benefit can be included under nutraceuticals and can be a very effective measure for preventive health care. Why I say preventive health care is that once there is an onset of any disease or a condition which is designed as a disease or a syndrome, it's difficult to combat that with the help of food alone. Then you need a medical intervention in that. But to avoid that onset, food for medicine, nutraceuticals is something that we can completely rely on. In fact, our old texts of Ayurveda also enlist some of the very important food products, food plants, especially I would be referring to food plants in this presentation. So food plants which have a medical benefit, have health benefit, and can prevent us from, any medical condition. Charak Samhita, which is also a very ancient text, mentions that the physical body is a product of diet and sensory input, which is your lifestyle. Similarly, all diseases are the result of non-correct diet and lifestyle. And diet and lifestyle, wholesome and unwholesome, are the foundations of health and illness. So Charak Samhita also is a very old text, and it very appropriately describes about the importance of food, which we keep talking off and on. In fact, from generations together, we have known that food that we eat has a lot of medicinal benefit and should be taken in the right proportion. That we, in science, we talk about balanced diet. So that balanced diet is actually a component of our food, of our daily lifestyle, which helps us stay healthy. And when I say healthy, it's about being holistically healthy, not just one aspect of being healthy. It's a well-being, holistic well-being as such. Plants have been used for ages, for drugs as well as food, for medicines as well as food. So we have two approaches which we can follow from starting from plants. One thing is for disease treatment and prevention, and the other is the nutraceutical route, which is for health benefit. Nutraceutical is a very trendy and a very modern term which is being given to the plant-based food products which confer health benefits. Now, the difference between nutraceuticals and the food supplements that we take is very clear as we speak. Nutraceuticals definitely need a clinical evidence to be able to termed under nutraceuticals, whereas food supplements do not need very extensive clinical trials. Minerals, vitamins, protein supplements, functional foods, and herbal products as food supplements, and we do not need any medical prescription for doing that. I mean, most of us take these things knowingly and unknowingly in our daily diet. And when you come to nutraceuticals, it's very important. In fact, whenever there is any product which has to be categorized under nutraceuticals, our FDA, in fact, global food and safety organizations have very clear guidelines as to what all can be put under nutraceuticals and what all can be identified or categorized as food with health benefit, because it actually resembles something like a pharmaceuticals, which is a very stringent regulatory area. So to understand that, nutraceuticals there are two important studies which nutraceuticals require before being actually categorized as nutraceuticals. One is the efficacy studies and the other is toxicity studies. So these two things are very important to label something as nutraceutical and for human consumption on a larger scale. Two things, probiotics and prebiotics foodstuffs are very increasingly being used as nutraceuticals and food for special medical uses. I will be talking about both of these as we go through the presentation. Now, there are certain there are certain categories in which the chemical groups or the phytochemicals which can be categorized under nutraceuticals. And I'm just going to briefly touch upon that so that we all have a understanding of what all phytochemicals can be included under nutraceuticals. So the first is inorganic mineral supplements, wherein all mineral supplements that you take can come. Probiotics are the helpful bacteria, and they are very important for our functioning of our digestive system. Prebiotics are digestive enzymes. Dietary fibers include all plant-based fibers. Antioxidants are all natural antioxidants which are isolated from different plants which have high content of antioxidants in them. Some other phytochemicals which can be categorized and are increasingly being used as nutraceuticals are fatty acids, phenolics, isoprenoids, lipids, and proteins. So for fatty acids, omega-3 fatty acid is something which is very popularly being used in various milk supplements. If you see, you will find a lot of milk supplements with this fortification of omega-3 fatty acids. Phenolics present in tea phenols, isoprenoids, carotenoids, lipids, sphingolipids, and proteins as soya proteins. So these are some important examples which are used as phytochemicals. And of course, our age-old herbs as functional food, which are also mentioned in Ayurveda. Now, I'm going to specially discuss about immunity today in my presentation, because immunity is a very key word, a catch area in both medical as well as nutraceutical world globally. And why I have chosen this to be, a topic of discussion today, because of the current medical emergency that we are facing globally because of COVID-19. We all know that medical healthcare system has, it would not be wrong to say that has collapsed to some extent to be able to take care of COVID emergency. So what it has left us with, building immunity towards against COVID-19 and any such microorganisms which might be a threat to human health. So let's understand what builds our immunity. Today we are talking about immunity, but ancient people, when they very much believed in food as medicine, they never, I mean, it was very well taken care of by the food we eat, but the changing lifestyles today has, forced us to think about what builds our immunity, especially in young generation, that children are more, students are more focused and more interested in eating pleasure food rather than nutritional food. Pleasure food means something which is like a junk food and gives you more pleasure rather than nutrition. For example, burgers, pizzas, chocolates. Chocolates have some health benefit also, but yes, overeating of anything is not good. So when our generation is, more inclined towards the pleasure foods rather than nutrition rich food, so it becomes very important to understand that what changes in lifestyle and nutrition we need to make in order to take care of our needs of immunity, our needs of healthcare, our self needs of healthcare. If you build our immunity, we are very much sure that we can take care of our health at least. And if every person takes care of his or her health by the food that he eats, I think we can be taken care of very easily. So now what builds our immunity? The first category that we are looking at is herbs and spices. There are very common herbs that we use, especially in Indian cuisine, and that are very popular worldwide, globally. I think with turmeric, all of us are familiar that turmeric today is being sold, in the form of a turmeric latte in the Starbucks. I mean, something which is a global chain, global coffee chain, is now selling Starbucks, turmeric milk, turmeric latte. So you can imagine the importance and the acceptance of such products worldwide, across ages, across age groups. Today, if our grandmother or somebody tells us ki haldi ka doodh pee lo, so we become like, oh no, who will drink haldi ka doodh? But imagine it's being sold like a delicacy at Starbucks, US. I think that will be a big catch point for our youngsters to not to deny any kind of haldi milk which their moms or grandmoms are offering them in case of any health issue that they are facing. There is cinnamon. I mean, I'm just going to briefly touch upon a few herbs and spices which have been scientifically validated and proven to enhance immunity and have been, accepted as immunity boosters even in modern systems of medicine. Pepper is there, then black pepper is there, garlic, and many such, herbs and spices are being used. In fact, Ayush Kavat is something which has been recommended by the government of India for tackling, COVID-19 and to build immunity all over the country. So that is a very sought after and very well accepted and sold product, which is being taken by, our people of our country and even abroad. Fresh fruits and vegetables, because they are rich in various vitamins and minerals, are also an important source of immunity modulating phytochemicals. So it's very important that we include these things in our lifestyle to be able to access immunity on our own rather than getting into any kind of medical emergency. If we are taking a good colorful diet, one day, I will just, an anecdote comes to my mind that once addressing some students, I was mentioning about, how, what is a good diet? So a good diet is a colorful palette. If your plate has all colors in it, it means you are taken care of. So, in a very layman's language, make your palette as colorful as possible to be able to fight immunity in very simple words. Now, the health food pyramid that we see here for stronger immunity has some of these important components depending upon the concentration that it should be taken in. The first, the base, the point of the health food pyramid is minerals rich with healthy fats, then nutrient dense whole grains, high protein lentils and beans, and high fiber fruits and vegetables. So in a way, if you include all of this in your diet, you will be taken care of. They are actually all food for medicine, and you will not need any medical intervention. Your immunity will be so strong that you will be able to fight most of the diseases. There are 8 superfoods which have been identified for immune health, that are turmeric, ginger, green leafy vegetables, berries, flax and chia seeds, walnuts and almonds, olive oils, and salmon. So I will take you one by one through these. Turmeric, the power of turmeric lies in its content, curcumin, which is one of the most well-worked metabolite today with respect to preventive healthcare validation, scientific validation. It has been found to be effective for depression, osteoarthritis, high cholesterol, itching, even high blood pressure. It has very high antioxidant properties, and the key components of turmeric are curcumin, vitamin C, dietary fibers, magnesium, vitamin B6. Ginger is another important component, which is, of course, both turmeric and ginger are an important component of our daily diet also. There's, especially Indian cuisine, if we see, there's nothing, no food, no day that goes without a turmeric or a ginger. So we are actually taken care of. And you must have heard that news that Indian population has been found to be somewhat effective, somewhat immune already. There's some basal immunity already present, innate immunity already present in the Indian population to fight COVID. So that is because of the kind of food, the cuisine that we have, thanks to our age-old preparatory techniques, which have trickled down through generations, and we still use them. The ginger is very important for antioxidant properties and anti-inflammatory property. It helps in conditions of nausea, menstrual pain, and osteoarthritis also. Green leafy vegetables are the king, basically, of the health word. They are iron rich, and of course, blood owes a lot to the spinach, the green leafy vegetables, because of the iron component that it gets from the vegetables. It is effective in bones. It is effective for bone health and for against osteoporosis, which is a very prevalent problem in case of women, which occurs post menopause. And decreasing risk of inflammatory diseases also is being taken care of, and heart disease prevention. The key components which are available through green leafy vegetables are iron, vitamin C, dietary fibers, carotene, calcium, folate, copper, and magnesium. It is great tasting and good for immune health. Berries are excellent source of bioactives which are anti-inflammatory and antioxidant in nature. It helps in serious in conditions of heart diseases, various cancers. It has a very high anti-cancerous efficacy, and it has been scientifically proved. And it is also immune. It also takes care of immune mediated inflammatory diseases like autoimmune disorders. The next is flax and chia seeds. Also, again, an important anti-inflammatory and antioxidant compounds have been isolated and scientifically validated. It has been very effective for preventing or treating high blood pressure, high cholesterol. It's good for kidney function, immune mediated inflammatory diseases as well. The key components of flax and chia seeds are magnesium, calcium, omega-3 fatty acids, dietary fibers, iron, and lignin. Walnuts and almonds are again age-old tradition that we have of consuming these on daily basis. I don't know how many of the young generation children are having them, but it's very important to include them in their diet because it has a very high antioxidant property and the key and protein as well. So these are all so much health. If you look at the health benefit that they provide, you can't stop but start including them in your diet, looking at the condition today. And also in decades and the few decades that we are going to face now, the increasing amount of such diseases like COVID, wherein we would not have enough antibiotics to prevent us from getting infected. Food is what is going to be our safe bet. So let's take a pledge of starting early, starting today, and understand the importance of taking food as medicine before actually going to the medicine as such. Olive oil is one of the most, important medium of cooking. I think most of us should shift to olive oil. We use vegetable oils and other kinds of oil, but olive oil is a very important and effective medium of cooking, which helps us take care of our health also. It's good for health actually. So heart disease prevention can be taken care of, high cholesterol can be taken care of, and immune mediated inflammatory diseases can be taken care of if we start cooking in olive oil. Now, the power of plants I have summarized in this slide that you see. So there are few active ingredients which are overall responsible for the power of plants. And to start with, it is carotenoids and hespertin, and it is found in carrots, sweet potato, orange, and lemon. It is good for eyesight, immune function, and heart health. The next category is anthocyanin and resveratrol, which is present in blueberries, blackberries, beetroot, and eggplant. Antioxidant, it is rich in antioxidants, anti-inflammatory. It is good for heart health and cognition. Then comes sulforaphane and lutein, which is found in green leafy vegetables, broccoli, cabbage, and green tea. And it is good for anti-carcinogenic, anti-inflammatory, and liver functions. Another category is allicin and quercetin, which is found in garlic, onion, leeks, apples, and buckwheat. And it is good for cholesterol, immune function, anti-allergic, supports estrogen metabolism as well. And last but not the least category in the power of the plants is lycopene and ellagic acid. And it is found in tomatoes, cherries, radish, and strawberry. And it is good for antioxidants, heart health, and immune function. This is not all just a glimpse of what the power of plant holds for all of us. Now, having said that, I would also like to discuss on and sensitize the students to understand what are the steps of a new nutraceutical development. Nutraceutical, yes, food for medicine is a very, simple line to tag with nutraceutical, but there is a lot of science which is being now put into it for taking out products which are scientifically validated and are very innovative in their approach. It is mostly new nutraceutical development mostly emphasizes on certain bioactive components which can be incorporated in other food matrices as well. The reason why it is important is that our generation, which is the Generation Z, so to say, is more interested in eating noodles, in eating cookies, in eating, pizzas and burgers. So, scientists of our age thought that how can we make these things also, which are more pleasure related food, also nutritionally rich. So the key answer came out was that why not enhance, why not fortify these things as well. So there has been a lot of science and research and innovation that has gone into new nutraceutical development for the new age children, for the new age kids, and even for adults for that matter. So the first thing that we must focus on while before starting on the new nutraceutical development is the identification of health condition, that is to which area you want to start developing the nutraceutical. So if today I have talked about immunity, so let's say that we are taking immunity as a health condition because it's one of the most sought after things in today's time. So we identify the health condition for which we want to develop the nutraceutical. Then we identify the desired food matrix for selection. And then we take to bioactive guided fractionation. Now, how this bioactive guided fractionation works is that the active ingredient from the plant is isolated, and then cell-based assays are carried out to find out which fraction of this particular set of phytochemicals is actually responsible for an activity which will lead to certain medical benefit. So we do this bioactive guided fractionation, which is happening in the cell assay in the lab in vitro as a safety assessment also. And then we do the complete metabolic profiling and study the complete phytochemical component of that particular fraction or extract, which is relevant. And through there are various techniques available like HPLC, MS, and so forth, NMR. And technologies are being developed, every moment, I would say, even as we speak. There is assessment of mechanism of action of the phytocomplex and relevant compounds, which is involved and required to pinpoint exactly, what is the phytocomponent which is acting and what is the mode of action, so that we know each and every step what is happening. And we are not giving anything, in the name of food and medicine, which is to, harm a person if overtaken, because food, you don't have any limit. That is a problem, which we faced when we developed edible vaccines also, that the dosage in case of food is difficult to control. So for nutraceutical development also the same challenge was felt, and it was important to understand the toxicity and the efficacy in the products through various levels of clinical trials and animal trials and pharmaceutical trials before getting an approval from the regulatory bodies globally to be able to commercialize. Even today, it's very difficult to get a license for a nutraceutical clearance in India as well. I mean, if you remember, there was even Patanjali came out with something which was anti-COVID, but they could not give that, label as anti-COVID, or they could only say that, as a label, you cannot claim anything until unless it is scientifically valid. And I think it's fair enough, because the person who is consuming it should be very confident, while using it, that it will help. Because somewhere that thought also, I believe that your life, your thoughts create your life to some extent. So if you are taking anything, any medicine or any food for that matter, with the confidence and with the thought that it's going to help you, so that's going to be more effective. I feel that. So yeah, and scientists also have felt that there should be a complete scientific backup before anything goes into the market. So the new nutraceutical development, this is a brief way how we can do it and what are the steps we can follow to produce innovative nutraceuticals today. The functional food ingredient market is huge. If you look at, the current the data that I'm showing you in this slide is of 2019, where the application ingredient and region is very well sectioned here. So if you look at the application base, we see three major areas which are very popular from the food matrix point of view, from the point of view of adding the food ingredient to the matrix, like beverage, dairy products, bakery and confectionery. I'll just give you an example here from my previous company. I was working with Avestagen, and we did a lot of nutraceutical development from plant-based extracts. So we developed a beverage, amla beverage actually, and it was an amla sachet, dried amla powder, which could be added like you have your Glucon-D. It was something like that. Glucon-D comes in a box, and we developed some amla sachets which could make an instant beverage out of amla, and it was an excellent drink. Even mineral, vitamin fortified water are available in Western world, which actually take care of a lot of functionality of the water as well. Dairy products, we were in discussion with Mother Dairy, that time back, I think some 8-10 years, when they wanted to come out with a range of milk products which are fortified, especially by omega-3 fatty acid, because the plant diet is very low in omega-3 fatty acid. So there were talks of including that even in oil of the brand. So you can fortify. I mean, even if we are not taking these products as such, we can include these products in our food matrices so that we are good. We are good as food for medicine in general. Another, bakery and confectionery, is another category where functional food market has got a very big catch. In fact, one of my students is working on immuno bakes. We've just generated a range of bakery products by the named immuno bakes. It's one of the very innovative projects that I got into last year. And in that, what we have done is we've tried to make a small basket of certain breads and what do you call cookies and tea bags, which have these health benefits, have ingredients from plant-based stuff, like, for example, turmeric is there, then tulsi is there, ginger is there, garlic. So we've tried to include all these extracts in the bakery products, which makes a bouquet of immuno bake, which will take care of your immunity aspect as well. So we see a very gradual movement from the pleasure food to an area of food which is both pleasure as well as nutrition rich. So we are seeing a convergence of food and medicine as we go ahead. So this food and convergence medicines is actually a paradigm shift from only food to only medicine to food and medicine, which is going to be a very important peak in the healthcare point of view also, because it will take care of all your food, nutrition, as well as medicine needs. The ingredients which have been very popular in the 2019 as functional food are vitamins, minerals, prebiotics and dietary fibers, probiotics, carotenoids, proteins, omega-3 fatty acids. And the region that is important from the point of view of the market is North America, Latin America, Europe, Asia Pacific, Middle East, and Africa. So it's almost, you can see, covering the whole globe. There is, I would say, a complete acceptance and need, most importantly, need for such products, for food actually to start acting as medicine, because medicine are going to be less in time to come, because as we saw in the COVID emergency, that there was hardly any, we were not very equipped to handle such kind of medical emergencies, and the healthcare sector was actually zapped. I mean, it was on the face of the whole global healthcare. We had to go into a lockdown actually to prevent ourselves. So in order to avoid such situations, we need to move from healthcare to preventive healthcare. And having said that, I cannot emphasize more on focusing on food for medicine. The nutraceutical section, the nutraceutical sector actually holds a very big promise for global health. With that thought, I thank you all for being here and giving me this opportunity. And also this functional food, yeah, there's one more thing I just wanted to cover here. The functional food ingredient market, I just spoke about 2019 data. And now what is, 10 years down? If you look at the next decade, which we have already entered, the market is globally, if you see, North America is the highest one consumption, is the highest consumer of functional foods, followed by Asia Pacific, followed by Latin America, by the Europe and Middle East and Africa. So market is huge, potential is big, and need is imperative. And to address this need is another important aspect we must look into immediately. The key strategies that we can follow to develop novel probiotic production technologies for high production and cost efficiency. and fuel innovation in plant-based nutrition bars for better convenience. Now, one challenge which comes to us is that most of the plants which are medically effective are mentioned in Ayurveda. So the overall innovation is not much there, because something which is already being documented in ancient texts is not novel. But if we have, found out or innovated some other effective way or effective ingredient. Suppose if we have done some research in turmeric and one fine day we find out that it is good for cognition, that becomes novel. Use of turmeric as an antibiotic, as an anti-inflammatory is well known in most of the systems of medicine. It is documented. But if you have identified or researched some new novel use of this, definitely it is very high in innovation and you definitely can get a patent, and acceptability can be increased by proper scientific backup and validation. So that's all from me today. Thank you so much. Thanks a lot for this opportunity, all of you. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Sonali, for a wonderful lecture, and it was a pleasure to hear you again. Okay, and now all of us are enriched what to eat and what not to eat. What should we include in our diet to increase our immunity so that we can fight such type of pandemics. Now, I would like to request Dr. A.N. Sahi to say something about this lecture. Dr.
Thank you,
Sahi,
Sonali.
please.
I was just engrossed hearing you about the food. And since I am a foodie, so I love this topic. And because the key to happiness is through your stomach only. And I was expecting such type of lecture. And basically, I think that nutraceuticals is nothing but designer food. Whatever novel you are going to give to the consumers in a different way so that his health is improved, that comprises the whole thing of nutraceuticals. So I was very keen on hearing about the designer foods and recipes, and you talked about the recipes of from Vedas and Charak Samhita and all that. So this has been going on for very long time. And in nutraceutical, it's an open field for the students to enter, because crores and crores of market. The commercial value for this is huge. And if they can develop any novel formulation, it will click in the market. And since food is linked to happiness, so I think the happiness index of India will be improving also. Thank you, Tonali, to hear about this topic. Thank you, ma'am, for calling Sonali after a long time.
Dr. Nidhi Chaudhary, you please say something about nutraceuticals. Dr. Nidhi.
I think she's having some network issue, ma'am.
Okay, I think so.
Yeah.
Can I say?
Yes, of course. You're most welcome.
Thank you,
You're
Sonali.
most welcome to do so.
It was such an enlightening and mesmerizing. That is what, And this is such a burning and hot topic, and I'm very happy that my MTech students are hearing you out, because this is what we have been telling them. In fact, we did a kind of exercise also during the class, and we realized that things which we think are good for us are not so good for us, and things which we ignore are very good for us. So this was something which was so relatable, so contemporary in today's time. It was very good, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
My dear faculty members, if you like to share your views, you are most welcome.
Yeah, ma'am, I want to say something.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Yeah, first of all, I congratulate Dr. Sonali for giving such a enlightening interventions on nutraceuticals. Very nicely and very rightly, she has covered all the aspects of nutraceutical plants. I'm damn sure that all the audiences, they might have got beautiful ideas from ma'am's presentation. Thank you so much, ma'am. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
The session is open for the questions now.
Yeah, hi,
Students
Dr.
and
Dr.
faculty,
Sonali.
please.
Hi, good afternoon, Dr. Vijay.
Hi. Brilliant talk. Something which is very close to our heart, also because we are Indians and, spices and whatever you said is actually a part of our diet. And obviously, what we eat is what we are. In fact, a couple of days back, there was a webinar which said what our mothers and grandmothers ate is what we are. So that is how close food is actually to our well-being. I have a question. It's not a question actually. It's more of a comment, and I want you to elaborate on that. We know curcumin. We know there are other plant metabolites which have been validated, researched upon, and these molecules are being used for various, as you said, anti-inflammatory or cancer studies and stuff like that. But even today, when you go to a doctor, an allopathic doctor, somebody who's an MBBS, MD, or a DM, and you talk about, giving karha to somebody who's not well in your family, or giving Ayurvedic kind of a remedy or a drug. I won't say a drug, but yeah, a nutraceutical or something like that. You see them becoming defensive. You see them telling that doesn't work, that it is not something that we should be doing, and it is kind of harm us more than it's going to do us good. So that is a kind of confrontation that you see in the doctors, particularly the ones who are practicing modern medicine as compared to the traditional Ayurveda, Siddha, Unani, or homeopathy. Even for homeopathy, you see that a lot of doctors are not very open towards using homeopathy as a treatment protocol. So why do you think that kind of a resistance still occurs when we know that these things work? Because we've seen them, we've used them ourselves, and I think almost 90% of the Indian population would have used them somewhere down the line, either as kids or as older people. So why do you think this confrontation occurs?
I'm so glad, Dr. Vijay, that you got this up, and it is actually a matter of concern. The reason is that we always, work in isolation, whether it is Ayurveda, allopathy, homeopathy. Homeopathy was very well disregarded for being just placebo. I mean, there was a very low acceptance. Even today, homeopathic doctors are, facing this kind of problem where allopathy is not accepting homeopathy. But yes, truth is truth. It is beyond anybody's acceptance or rejection, for that matter. I believe the quotation for truth is, that कहते हैं ना शाश्वत. I mean, which is very well proven. And on a lighter note, I would like to say that allopathic doctors don't want their business to be taken away by curcumin, by people consuming haldi, for that matter.
Probably even the
if you look
pharmaceutical
at them,
industry.
I think at the back of, after closed doors, they would also be taking curcumin milk, when they are having cold, rather than taking an antibiotic. I
Yes.
completely believe in that, It's just about being functioning in synergy rather than condemning each of us, each other. There are established systems of medicines which do not need any kind of, contemplation, for that matter. Everything is very well documented, very well scientifically proven, and some of the diseases can be very well cured by homeopathy, which do not have a
Yes.
treatment in Ayurveda, or which do
Absolutely.
not have a treatment in allopathy. So it's all about, I think, working in synergy and converging all the medical practices rather than working in isolation and pushing one system away and the other system away. I think the time we are in is looking at us to converge all the medical wisdom that we have, be it any medical practice, be it any medical school.
Very true.
Very,
In
very,
fact,
very
if you
true.
see,
Very true, Dr. Sonali.
Yeah.
I remember one incident in my life also.
Yeah.
I went to BHU, and then one of my friends fell ill of jaundice. I went to IMS BHU. Dr. P.K. Srivastava was head of the medicine. He wrote the prescription and everything, and he told what to eat and what not to eat. When I was coming out of the room, वो बोले रुको रुको, एक काम करना, उसको झड़वा भी लेना.
Right. This is another system of medicine.
भाई
You
सर
can't
ये ज्यादा हो रहा है.
Head of the Department of Medicine said that उसको झड़वा भी देना. I
Yes.
think that is the perfect holistic approach of a doctor.
Yes,
Not-
sir. I totally
Not
agree.
an allopathic doctor or a homeopathic doctor. In India, we should adopt these things.
Definitely.
I think
Because they
the
We also believe in that, in such things.
Yeah, and
We
in
also
fact,
believe in such things.
spending multiple lakhs, you know, you enter a hospital for COVID and you are down with 15 lakhs altogether. I mean, having a cup of healthy milk without having any ego, I think it's a better choice. you
And
know.
I think if you go to the hospital, you'll come back with the 100 more diseases. The hospital
आपको हल्दी
expired.
आइसक्रीम आ गया मैम.
It's
100
very
more
true.
such diseases. Correct.
Yes. I
Sahi
think
sir,
the fight is more of the
Yes, ma'am.
same value as you have between science and astrology.
Science and spirituality,
Science
actually.
and, yes, so they also
In
have
fact,
a
that
lot
is
of confrontation.
Another very interesting area of research that I am on, because being
Yeah.
a scientist and also having some kind of spiritual, inclination, I keep relating a lot of things as to, where, and I see a very strong correlation. I mean, there is everything in spirituality which has a logic. There's
Yes,
nothing
very
beyond.
true, very
There
true.
is nothing which is working, out of logic. Even astrology rightly pointed out. Astrology, it all works on energy and how energy balance. In fact,
Yes.
every disease that we as human beings suffer is because of energy imbalance.
yes,
Yes,
the
Some kind of
chakras
energy
need to
imbalance,
be it right. Yeah.
which we try to, which we try to take care or understand when it is already on the verge of creating a problem for us. If we are working on ourselves, which can create an energy balance in us, we will never get into any medical problem. Correct.
The
I
Chinese
totally agree,
system
ma'am.
of medicine actually
Yes.
also works in the same principle, and you see that in China, people use that the style of medicine, the Chinese style of medicine,
Yes.
a lot. And there are so many stories and so many facts about it, that how really people terminally ill have been
Cured.
recovered and cured.
Yes.
Because of that practice of
Yeah,
medicine.
that's where the power of prayer comes from. It's all energy. It's all
Right.
transformation of energy in a way.
Very
The
true.
same thing.
You are
The same thing
focusing
is
by prayer. You're focusing energy to a
Yes.
welfare of a person.
Right.
So
Correct.
Very
Yes,
true.
that's how it works. It's not just like abstract. It has some kind of proof, and I mean, not many people will believe in it because substantial research has not gone down. But I think there are more and more scientists who are now going into this research area of finding out a bridge between science and spirituality and filling up that gap where people in our next generation also start believing in it and start practicing some of the important techniques.
One last point. Ironically, if Harvard Medical School or a Princeton or a Georgetown starts a subject like this, more Indians will go and enroll into
Yes,
that.
there is. Okay, Vijay, there is a school of
they are
divinity.
already into it, ma'am.
Yes,
They are-
there is a school of divinity in Harvard, and it's brilliant.
So
Yes,
that's what I'm saying. So more and more Ivy Leagues open them, so you will have more
Yes.
and more Indians and Chinese going
they are
to
actually
study them.
institute of happiness are there. All over the world. People are recognizing, how being happy helps you to be healthy.
It's
In
a
fact,
subject being taught in the schools right from the beginning, ma'am.
yes. In fact, one of my
Happiness.
research, I just did a survey, a couple of months back during this immunity when we were all locked down. I had all my, antennas open to what to do. So I did a research on, what is the link between health, immunity, and happiness. So I did a survey
Yeah.
and found out that people who are happy, I mean, who are mostly happy in the average part of their day, are actually immune. And
Mm.
happiness actually is a very important factor which can help you stay away or take care of your overall health also. So
It's a
these things are
positivity.
more and more gaining momentum, and they are getting scientific proofs also to understand and make more and more people aware and believe of them.
I think students
Ma'am,
also
let us
have
know
some
more
questions.
about this survey that you did about this happiness and immunity relationship.
Sure, if you want, if you want to participate, all of you, I invite all of you to participate in that survey. I will
Yeah,
share
please
that
share the
with,
link. Yeah,
We will
please.
do
Yes,
so.
I will share that link with Nilima ma'am.
Yes,
I'll be
ma'am.
happy to receive your feedback.
So-
Thank
All of us will do so
Yes.
because we want to know how happy we are.
Yes,
This
and
situation.
we live our lives without even knowing
But-
how happy we are and what makes
but-
us happy.
But
Most of the life.
ironically, ma'am,
Yes.
UN study has concluded that India is at the position
Very low.
144 out of 156 nations. And
Yes.
even Pakistan is far ahead of us. It is at the position 66, better than Russia. And
Yes. I
one of
think,
the most
Sahi sir, the
happy
reason,
countries are Finland, Norway, Denmark. They are the most
their happiness quotient
happy
is
nation.
very high. Yes,
Yeah,
because their government policies are such, Dr. Sahi, that
yeah.
they take care of the citizens so well that they are not stressed for their livelihood,
And
actually, especially in Western countries.
it is taught in the schools also,
Yes,
right,
yes.
right from the beginning.
For Indians, most of the challenges, when you face a livelihood challenge, which becomes a big stress, which becomes a
Yes.
big source of stress. So that leads to a cascading effect of many other things, in your life.
Exactly. It is the security reason which behind which we are running throughout life.
Correct, correct, correct. So, but I will, emphasize on the fact that understand what makes you happy and try to do something that makes you happy in your day. Like for me, I love listening music. So whenever I listen to music, I am, very happy. So music, listening to music, singing is something which makes everyone happy. Listen to that. I mean, in fact, in that research, most of the people who were happy were the ones who used to listen to music almost every day. So there's another, correlation and link.
Yes, ma'am.
So
This
our
is
brain
very true.
responds very intelligently to the stimuli we provide. So we need to understand what stimulus are we giving to our brain to, help us lead a holistically well life.
Yeah, I
Sai
think we
sir,
had a
do you know
webinar in
something?
June where we had a music therapy session. This thing also, if I remember, Rashmi ma'am had organized.
Aha, okay,
Yes, that
nice.
was very nice.
Yes,
Ma'am,
yes.
one of the
Sonali also sings very well. Sai sir, do you know about Sonali? She sings
Yeah,
so
yeah, yeah.
well. She writes so well. She writes so many poetries. I
Thank
mean,
you.
she has very good knowledge of our, Gita and lots of poetry I can see on her page.
Yeah,
Uh,
Rachna is there connected with me on Facebook, so she keeps a track of what I'm doing.
Okay, okay, okay.
Nee, but you have so many of qualities, Sonali. We are really
Thank
proud
you,
of you.
Rachna. That's very generous of you. I just try to do my bit, what makes me happy, and that's all about it.
one of our attendees has raised her hand. She
Yes.
wants to ask a question.
Yeah.
Madhusmita Mishra, are you there? Madhusmita?
Yes, ma'am. Good afternoon, ma'am. Ma'am,
Good
am I
afternoon,
audible?
Madhusmita. Yes, I can hear you.
Ma'am, actually, I have a doubt regarding, ma'am, the testing and the testing and the regulations which has been followed for the pharmaceutical product.
Yes.
So, ma'am, the same thing is not followed for the nutraceuticals. So, ma'am, in
We
that case, the companies might create some unregulated products for their profit.
no,
So, ma'am, then
they
how
may.
can we deal with this situation?
Yes, Madhusmita, that's a very good question actually. But you are not allowed to make any unregulated product by the category of nutraceutical. A very good example is from Patanjali. Recently, we saw that they did develop something anti-COVID, but they could not market it as an anti-COVID. They could just generally say for health, for immunity health, So it is a very well regulated market. You cannot, launch a food product and also claim a health benefit unless and until you have experiments, clinical trial data in place. That is very taken care of, although it is not as that is not as stringent as pharmaceuticals, because pharmaceuticals are mostly single molecules, or smaller molecules, which may be in some dosage toxic also, because if we take something as food, it is neutralized in a way that it does not and it is generally regarded as safe. If you know the term grass, generally regarded as safe, it's a term given to products which have been in our daily diet and are found to be and are can be safely regarded as safe. Okay, so that's a term being given, and although the pharmaceuticals have more stringent regulatory norms, nutraceuticals do not have, but we cannot really say that nutraceuticals are totally unregulated. That would not be the right thing to say.
So, ma'am, mainly it is regulated by which organization? Like majority, they're
It's
not
FDA.
regulated by, I think so, FDA.
It's FDA. It's FDA. You need to take regulatory approvals. Actually, one of our products, not one of, in fact, we have a range. We had a range of products for various lifestyle diseases like the diabetes and heart health, obesity, osteoporosis. So these were the 4 or 5 focus areas of our interest for which we launched some nutraceuticals, and we had to take proper regulatory approvals after clinical trials. It's not that you can just launch the product like this. Okay.
We have another question from Ayushi Mukherjee.
Yes, Ayushi.
Good afternoon, everyone. Ma'am, it was a very nice talk. It was very interesting to listen to you.
Thank you, Ayushi. I'm glad, and it's a pleasure to address all of you because Amity Institute of Biotechnology is very close to my heart also and my journey as well. So thank you for the opportunity. Please, Ayushi, ask whatever you want to.
Yes, ma'am. So, ma'am, I personally believe in using more natural methods as compared to the already available artificial ways. But I have a question regarding the market response. I mean, we have seen the difference in the pricings, like, but living in a population like ours, the inhibitions from our side are a lot, like not just on the price point, maybe also upon accepting these alternative medications. So, because you're in this field, so how do you think has it changed, or do you see like a better future for this?
Yes, definitely. Future is going to be of nutraceuticals, Ayushi. The cost point that you're talking about is, yes, I completely agree. And we need to work on technologies which can reduce the cost and make the products more cost effective and cost efficient. All right. And the market acceptability, of course, is increasing. I mean, if you look at COVID, the post-COVID time that we're going to enter now, the 2020 is already going to over in another 2 months. And 2021, I hope, will be a more healthy and more active year from this regard. But then acceptance is of course increasing. Can you see? I mean, people turning more and more to alternate healthcare methods. People are burning camphor in their houses, eating tulsi, drinking tulsi tea, taking curcumin milk. I mean, these things people are starting to include in their diet now. I mean, after being faced with such a medical emergency, people are becoming aware and they are starting to believe on its efficacy also.
Yes, ma'am. I actually went ahead asking you this question because I've been very closely related to a little bit of reishi, and so to be very specific with DXN products which work with Ganoderma, and I've seen the kind of different market responses that come forward. Like if you actually,
Ganoderma, you are talking about DXN, right?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, that's a Malaysia-based the Malaysia-based company.
Yes.
The response that you're talking about is DXN is not it's the market strategy is very different for DXN. DXN works on DSA policy, direct selling agents. All right.
Yes,
you would not see much marketing campaigns happening on DXN. Any
like
commercial, just like Amway. Even Amway, you would see, they are hardly doing any business campaign as such. Look at Brook Bond Red Label Nature Care Tea. Look at the campaign that they have. So the marketing strategy has to be very has to be as such that the consumer gets attracted. How many of us know about Ganoderma and DXN? Not handful of us would be knowing about the name also. Since you know those people, I mean, closely, so you know about it. But most of them, they have not even heard about it. Although it's a good thing, but the marketing strategy is very different for DXN. And I believe that for such products, you need to have a proper awareness campaign, proper marketing campaign, so that you are able to reach, you are able to trickle down to each and every population that needs it.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you.
We have another question from Rashri Das.
Yes.
Good afternoon, ma'am, and your lecture has been very informative and knowledgeable to me. The thing the thing that insisted me to ask you is that what I've understood from your lecture is that ancient traditional diet of India is actually good. I mean, I knew this before. What I've understood from your lecture is that if we implement this sort of diet, or if we forcibly implement this sort of diet in amongst Indians, because Indians nowadays don't listen to their parents or grandparents, they kind of disregard them and they are more influenced by the propaganda and all. So if we, by means of government or by the doctors, it's their responsibility. If we implement this sort of diet, then lots of diseases will be curbed and all will be cured. Then there will be no need for...
Definitely, Rajshri, very well pointed out. In fact, Indian cuisine is one of the best cuisines of the world.
Yes, ma'am.
I mean, if you look at, and you know, I used to feel that the time Indian women used to cook in the kitchen is, you know, maybe 1/3 of their day is gone in the kitchen, but that's not waste. That's for the well-being of the whole family. Do you understand?
Yes,
not, yeah. So Indian cuisine is definitely one of the best cuisines, and it takes care of all your health, you know, needs.
Any more questions, please? Yeah. Any more questions?
Yes, ma'am. May I ask?
Yes, yes, please do.
Good afternoon, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am, for enlightening us upon this nutraceutical topic, and it was very very informative. I have just a question on this, that is nutraceutical industries, how are they in India, and as I have a planning on going for it, and organic farming, are they how they are developing in India, and what are the scope?
Very well, Ananya. The future is going to be of that. I'm glad that you have chosen. In fact, I would recommend more and more students to choose this. Organic farming is already in a big way, has already come in a big way, and it is going to be the future of agriculture in India. More and more people who have left their tech jobs, high-paying jobs, have, you know, forayed into organic farming and started doing organic business, because from India now you cannot export without an organic certificate. So you need, so whatever, even if you're planning to do something big or going to venture into export of vegetables or fruits or herbs for that matter, you will definitely need an organic certification, otherwise you will not be allowed. And by the pesticide content, I mean, people are very well aware now that there is a high degree of chemical and chemicals which have you know, entered into the food chain. You must have heard about this term called biomagnification, and it increases at every trophic level. So it's kind of a big challenge and what do you call, a disaster, I would say, you know, facing us. So the faster we move to organic farming, the better it is for us. Now in India, you're talking about the nutraceutical market, how good it is in India. There are many companies, like for example, Dabur is one of them. Then there is DCM, there is Himalaya drugs. There are many companies coming up, Sami products. So many companies are coming up, mushrooming now to, you know, cater to the increasing needs. You know, there was a time when India was facing a shortage of grains. That time green revolution was there. But today we are you know, facing a shortage of medicinal foods. So it's going to lead to a revolution in such products. I mean, that day is not far when, you know, it will be totally a revolution, and more people would be entering this area and meeting the supply and the gap demand that is usually there when increasing population needs to be fed.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you, Ananya.
Ma'am, then I have a question.
Yes,
there are various nutraceutical products which are now available in the market, marketed by various companies, some based in China or Eastern countries, or some based in Europe. And there is a great amount of price variation if you look at that. So is there a concept like what we have in like generic medicines and you know, the other products which are highly priced? So do we have something like that in case of these nutraceuticals also?
Yes, Anupama ma'am, you've raised a very important aspect. The thing is that in especially plant-based things, the products that are made, the quality standards are difficult to be maintained, because the raw material supply chain is
variable. It's very variable.
It's very
raw material
variable.
itself
So
is very
it's
variable.
difficult. But a company like Himalaya, if you know about something about Himalaya, they also face this kind of challenge where they, you know, the batch to batch variation was reported. and some of their batches were actually, they had to revert some of their batches from the market. So that variation will always be there, and the products which are expensive actually are the ones which take care of this variation, because there has to be a lot of integrated back step regulation when you look at standardization of these things, because of course variability in the raw material available. Yes. So of course the ones which are expensive, they have gone into the each and every nitty-gritty of these things, so that adds to the cost also. So the ones which are expensive or priced higher have actually taken care of that quality standard, and yes, all of that.
Okay, because Himalaya has purchased, in fact, 2 or 3 complete hills beyond Rishikesh for cultivation of these plants for yes. The usage.
So that adds, when you're doing contract farming is different, but when you are buying out the whole, I mean, as you said, that hills have been bought out.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
I mean, then everything is under your control. So that adds to the cost of the product as well.
Very true. Very true.
Ankita Paul also wants to ask question. Ankita?
Yes, ma'am. Good afternoon, everyone. First of all, it was a really informative and knowledgeable session. So, ma'am, my question is that in any kind of nutraceutical formulation, the biggest hindrance is it's the product's partial absorption and low solubility in the GI, in the gastrointestinal area. So, what do you suggest, like how to alter that? Because of this reason only, the consumer don't widely accept such products, even though we have established company, but this is one of the hindrance due to which in the clinical trial also we face a lot of problems. So what do you suggest for that, ma'am?
Yeah, Ankita, the thing is that if you have these phytochemicals or nutraceuticals in a food matrix, like we were talking to this DSM guys to incorporate some nutrients or these functional food chemicals into noodles, these high fiber noodles. So if anything is there in a food matrix, of course its bioavailability increases. But if you're taking something isolated, definitely there will be something which will be absorbed, something which will not be absorbed. So increasing bioavailability, actually, I think one of the things that you can follow is put it in a right food matrix.
Okay.
Like your, you can fortify your food stuff with that particular thing, like fortified wheat, fortified cookies, fortified, muesli, cereals, and all of that. We have Shreya Jain. Shreya.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I just wanted to ask, on what grounds are we expecting a brighter future for nutraceuticals when not many people can afford them? Like you mentioned Amway. Amway ka plant protein powder, it costs around 4,500 per kg.
Why do you feel that by nutraceutical only Amway comes into mind, Shreya?
Stating an example.
Bright future, I'm saying, is because nutraceuticals is something which you can use in your everyday life without going to a shop. Amway, don't go to that shop. Use it. The people who cannot afford it, use it in your homes. Let the people who can buy it, let them. There is an increasing population in India which can afford such products. As even globally, market is very open to such products. You will also devise certain cost-effective measures to see that the products are not as costly as they currently are on the market, right? I know people in villages who are not earning so much will not be able to afford. But the market in India, is not driven by those people. The market in India is driven by middle class. All right. And there are products which middle class can afford.
Yes, ma'am, I understand.
Yeah.
Just that, even the multivitamins and the good brands, multivitamins and stuff from good brands, even they are like very expensive.
Yeah, so see, it's all about your buying capacity. I wanted to mention here that it's not that India does not have a buying capacity just because its population is, major population is not having so much, what do you call, income in hand, disposable income. But then the market in India is not driven. If people like Patanjali, if people like, these people can survive, Dabur can survive, nutraceutical market has a bright future, not an issue at all. I'm sure Patanjali is going to come out with certain products which even the low income group people will be able to afford and manage a better lifestyle for them, better health care for them.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other question?
Excuse me, ma'am, this side Madhushmita. Ma'am, I just have a small doubt in my mind regarding, ma'am, is any adverse effect of using nutraceuticals? Like, is there any adverse effect?
Overuse of anything is prohibited. If you take too much, you know what, there's a report, I'll just briefly talk about that report here, about in COVID when there was much research, being done on COVID patients. It was found that our own immunity is killing us, it's not the COVID. In fact, if you would have read about that article which showed that in COVID, the people who are dying, it's not because of the infection, it's because of the, coagulation of the blood, because the body is trying to fight so much that the blood is getting coagulated at the, how many of you have read that report? I don't know. That's
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
report
ma'am.
from,
I've read it, ma'am.
you've read that report?
Yes,
So
ma'am.
yes, of course, I would like to point this out here that overeating, even if you eat food more, you will get indigestion. What to talk about nutraceuticals? So everything has to be in a balanced form. It does not mean कि कुछ healthy है तो आप सारे दिन हल्दी खाते रहो या सारे दिन ginger खाते रहो, because they are good for health in a particular dosage. Okay, so anything overdone is not good.
Okay, ma'am. Okay. Thank you so much.
Nidhi is having a question. Nidhi?
Good afternoon, ma'am. We all know that in Indian cuisine we are using
Sai sir,
ghee from
please.
एक जो पिछले बार बना हुआ था वो लगा दिए थे.
Sai sir, excuse me, Sai sir. Please mute yourself. Yes, Nidhi, you ask your question.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, we all know that in Indian cuisine we are using ghee from ancient time, and it is considered as a good component of our diet. But nowadays, doctors are suggesting to shift on olive oil and stop using ghee in diet because of some cholesterol issues and also. What are the benefits?
That doctors are saying, don't listen to them. Desi ghee has its own benefit. Ayurveda has its own, document of proving how desi ghee is good. So you should not keep deep frying stuff in desi ghee, of course, but desi ghee should not be completely eliminated from your diet. It does have, it lubricates your joints. In fact, people who take desi ghee till their, early age also have their body well lubricated, their joints well lubricated. They don't have inflammatory problems. All right. So it's about taking the right thing in the right amount. All right.
Okay, ma'am, do you think that there is a need to replacing ghee by olive oil?
No, I don't think so. There is no need, because every cooking medium, you don't use one cooking medium. You use desi ghee, you use mustard oil, you use olive oil, you use refined oil. So you're using a variety of oils, and all these oils are in some way or the others beneficial for your body, right?
Okay, and ma'am,
there is no need to eliminate anything, just to understand the right amount in which you should be taking it. Okay.
So it is like we are not using ghee in right amount. That's why people are having cholesterol issues.
Yes. If you're too much eating ghee, if the ghee is too much in your diet, of course there'll be a problem, isn't it? If you're taking too much oily food, of course it will be a problem. But the right amount of the right thing will always keep you right. There is no other way.
Moderation is the key. Remember, students, moderation is the key.
Said. Correct. Moderation is the key.
Thank you, ma'am.
All right.
I must say that excess of everything is bad for us.
Yes.
It has to be taken in balanced way.
Yes, that is why we emphasize and focus on balanced diet. Okay.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
I could see Rashmi Das has another question.
Yes, ma'am. The thing that came to my mind is that, like the previous speaker said about ghee, that many doctors are speaking against ghee. They're asking us to replace ghee with olive oil. But ma'am, you said that ghee is, and I also believe the same, that ghee is actually beneficial since we are using it since the ages and it has been proven. But the thing is that people like us are getting to know that ghee is beneficial. But there are also many people who blindly rely on these doctors and who don't consider people like us, our view as any relatable, as any important thing, and they prefer them. So how will you know the thing?
No, it becomes our own responsibility, sir, to actually sensitize people around and younger generation so that they don't blindly get into the trap of anything which is a misfit for their own health.
Yes, because ma'am, like you said, doctors have their own benefit when they suggest such things in their prescriptions.
Exactly. No, doctors actually, they keep following a bandwagon. किसी ने कह दिया घी खराब है, सब लोग they will start talking about the same thing. So, but घी खराब है does not mean मतलब ages से देसी घी चल रहा है, It's about Ayurvedic preparations. Ayurvedic preparations are made out of desi ghee, so you cannot actually say desi ghee is not good for health.
Absolutely, ma'am. Thanks a lot, ma'am.
Yeah, thank you. Any other question? Nilima ma'am?
I don't think that there are any more questions. And once again, I would like to thank Dr. Sonali for her wonderful talk. She has shown us the real picture of herbs and plants, especially nutraceutical plants. So I will say that now onwards, while taking food, we will take care what all we should include our food and what all we should avoid. Okay, and this talk has taken me back in 2001 when we had started interaction with Dr. Sonali Mohan when she was with us in AIB. So I'm very grateful for her to spare her valuable time for us, and she has answered all the questions of our faculties as well as the students very well. I hope we will have such more interactions with her in future, and she will be able to help out our students if they want to do any innovation, because she has started an organization which is mentoring the students and helping them out in using their idea.
Yes,
once
thank
again,
you, ma'am.
Dr. Sonali ma'am, thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. It's my pleasure.
For a wonderful session. And the most important thing is that just a call and you were available with us. It is most important.
I'll always be for AIB students and all of you. You all are like family to me. Thank you.
Congratulations, Dr. Sonali. It was a brilliant talk. It was a feast for all of us.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Komal ma'am, would you like to say something?
Yeah, I just enjoyed the talk. It was so wonderful, and it was, I think, for future, each one of us will be more careful of the diet which we are going to take. Right. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, all of you.
Thanks, Dr. Sonali. It was really an excellent talk, and it is near to us. The topic is so near that from morning till night, we are half part of our awareness goes into what to eat and what to cook. So that part is directly, being counseled and to be rectified if required in right direction for our well-being. So it has been very useful, and I want to be in touch with you. I'll be contacting you soon.
Sure.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you very much.
I would like to add one thing more. Whenever we enter the kitchen to make food, we should be in a very happy mood.
Yes.
It also add value to our food.
Yeah, it's the energy by which you
positivity.
Food
yes.
That goes into it. Yes.
Yes.
That's why it said, moms, mummy ke haath ka khana best hota hai, right?
Right.
I still remember when we used to go to college, then there was a college canteen, and I think all of us as students are very fond of eating in college canteen, even if your mom has given you some home cooked food. So, but whatever we used to eat in the college canteen, that paratha and achar given by mom used to satisfy us from inside. So, there's nothing which can beat the energy by which the food is cooked by the person who loves you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Nidhi ma'am, would you like to say something?
Ma'am, I'm really, it's a different kind of lecture. It is a mixture of knowledge related to our curriculum, but not just curriculum. It is related to our every breath. I must say it is related to our every breath. Knowingly or unknowingly, we are affected by the components of the food. And being science people, we need to be aware of these facts and how to rectify and what to do, and to guide the future generation in this direction, so that we come out of the chemicals and other unhealthy things, junk food and all, and be healthy population. Later next generation should be more healthy actually, because we had a deep dip inside unhealthy things. Now we should come out of it. So thank you, ma'am. Thank you very much. You have given a clear insight, not just to us, but the next generation who is sitting here. And they are having very, very nice questions. They have very good curiosities. And when I see them moving towards ghee, that is giving me a really futuristic, positive view that they are coming out of that refined and no ghee culture.
Yes,
and that
of
is required.
course.
Actually, Gaia Ka Desi Ghee, that was told to us before and to our generations previously. They have been using these things and they were very healthy. And now going to refined and junk food, what have we made of us?
Yes, we have made of us, that we are unable to cope up with a, problem like a cold and cough.
Exactly.
That's how weak we have become from inside.
Exactly. So we have to be out of it now.
Yes.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for the direction.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So once again, I would like to thank Dr. Sonali for our wonderful lecture and a very deep insight into the use of herbs and the plants. And I'm also very thankful to Amity University for providing us this opportunity so that all of our students as well as faculty members have enjoyed this session. Thank you very much, Dr. Sonali, once again, and I hope we'll be meeting again in future also.
Sure. Yes, ma'am. We'll be, ma'am, please do come when the campus opens.
Sure. It'll be my pleasure to visit.
I'll make sure.
Yeah.
I'll make sure that
she
does anytime.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
So with this, I would like to thank her again for the wonderful lecture. Nice meeting everybody.
Sanjeev sir, he closed. Sanjeev sir, attendance ले सकते हैं?
Yes, ma'am. I've downloaded the attendance.
Okay, fine.
Yeah.
And I think recording can be.
I will now stop the recording.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.